Siddur Snippet series is generously sponsored by the Saka family and sponsored as well by Yelad and Avram Foreman. We are on the 16th bracha of the Amida, the bracha of Shema, Koleinu. Last night we spoke about the historical precedent, the background. Shibbolei Alek told us the Malachim saw and Hashem heard our voices. He therefore redeemed us. He took us out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt. Not Shema Tfilah Seinu. We didn't hear our prayers. It's not what we articulate with our words, but our voice. If we're genuine, if we're sincere, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, even if we're unworthy, even if we're unable to articulate, nevertheless He hears. And therefore this bracha, this catch-all, Shema Koleinu, is where we insert whatever it is that we need. If we didn't mention it in an earlier tefillah, then we bring it up here. Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz in his Yaros Dvash writes very movingly, very stirringly, as an introduction to this bracha. Bo yasim kol magamosav l'Hashem l'spalo al kol tzrachav, afilo davar katanu gadol. This generic catch-all open bracha, a person should turn to and ask the Almighty for all their needs, great or small. Lo yivatzer davar mashal yispalo bo l'Hashem. A person should never think, it's beneath God to help my child with their Gemara test in school. It's beneath Hashem for me to bother asking Him that my drasha should turn out okay, that we should travel and not have traffic, whatever a person might think. Hashem's got big things to take care of. The world's a mess. The world's falling apart. Hashem's got a lot to focus on. Little me and my little needs. A person should not think so, right? So Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, there's nothing too big, too small. He's the Almighty. He's omnipotent. He's the source of all. If a member of your family is dating and you hope they are successful and find the right one, then don't just talk to the shadchan, talk to Hashem. Ask Him for help. L'schora, if you're doing business and you're concerned of your income, you want more clients, you want more customers, you want more profit, Yispal Hashem she'atzlichu v'yalichu b'derech hayashar. So the one to turn to is Hashem. So we have brachos designated throughout the Amida for these major needs, but Shema Koleinu is the catch-all. Klalo shel davar. Ein davar masher ritzonu lasos bo b'yom mashlo yispal Hashem latzlicho olicho b'derech hayashar v'nachon. Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz gives incredible advice, and I highly encourage, try to employ this advice, particularly in the Amida Shacharis in the morning. Every one of us know what we have on tap for that day. Whether you're working, whether you're retired, whatever stage of life you're at, all of us have appointments that day, business transactions, business meetings, doctor's appointments. We have things we're trying to get done. So a person before Shacharis, the Chasidim Rishonim would spend sha'achas focusing and planning and preparing. So before Shacharis, but minimally on the build-up to the Amida, think about what's on my schedule today, what tasks, what to do, what meetings, what do I have to get done, who in my life, and then use the Amida to talk to Hashem about it. Hashem, let this meeting go well. Let me find the words. Let the source sheet come together. Let the drasha be compelling. Let this have a successful outcome, whatever it is. Let this trip go smoothly. People mistakenly think, writes Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, that when do you have to daven to Hashem? If you have a crisis, if you have a challenge, if something's urgent, if there's an emergency, if there's a disaster, that's when you use the words of tefillah to daven to Hashem. But otherwise, ordinary everyday living in life, he doesn't have time, he doesn't have patience, he doesn't want to hear, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Right, Rabbi Yonasan? It's not true. It's not true. Everything we're doing, daven in your own words. The Anshe Knesset Agadola gave us the Amida as a template. It's a template. I gave this mashal all the way back in Siddur Snippets. I'll repeat it again now. Everyone knows that if it's a major person in your life's birthday, it's your anniversary. So you can't just take a napkin and scribble happy anniversary, the best thing that ever happened, God put you in my life, yada yada, love so-and-so. If you hand that on the back of a napkin, they'll appreciate the message, but they'll say, a napkin? You couldn't get a card? And if you go buy a card, you might need a mortgage to buy a card today, but if you go and you buy a card, and then you just take the card, you put it in the envelope and you hand it over, and they say, Hallmark, American Greetings, that's the poem, that's you have nothing to add, you have nothing to say, there's nothing original. You don't even want to double underline the word that really jumps out. You have nothing. We all know that to communicate how we feel, you need the combination. You need the words that you buy on the card, and then you got to write your own. And then they figure out, is that mommy's handwriting, daddy's handwriting, Abba's handwriting, whose handwriting, who wrote, who dictated it, who wrote it. You get into all that later. But you have to find the combination between the text and your original writing. And I think the same is true when it comes to the Siddur. Anshe Knesset Gadola, Lahavdil, Elvav Avdallah, so the original hallmark, American Greetings, they gave us the template. They gave us the language. But we're supposed to fill in. We're supposed to write in our own handwriting. And where do we write in our own handwriting? Shema Koleinu. And we don't just write there's an emergency, there's a crisis. Certainly now we do. A person has to check themselves how connected they are to Klal Yisrael. If you're not davening every day, that the hostages come home, that our soldiers have sweeping victory, all soldiers everywhere are safe, all armies. Person has to feel connected. But also, the evidence that we really believe Hashem is involved intimately in every aspect of our life is when we ask Him. I meet with every bar and bat mitzvah child before they celebrate here at Boca Raton Synagogue. And when my message to them all, if they ask their older sibling, what's the rabbi want to meet with me about, they'll sell me out and tell them what the meeting's going to be. But I tell them all, you're being a bar mitzvah, you're a bat mitzvah, you're a gadol, you're a gadol at this point, Hashem wants to hear from you. You're old enough, mature enough, you're responsible enough, but He also wants to know you. And the evidence that you believe Hashem is in your life is when you ask Him for your soccer team to win, when you ask Him to make the basketball team, when you ask Him to do well on your test, when you ask Him for things to work out well with your friends. The more specific and the smaller it seems and inconsequential, the more we're demonstrating that we really believe Hashem is intimately involved in all of our lives. So that's what Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz says. He says, Yispalo Bilshono, use your own words, write it in your own language, your own script. V'afki l'shono l'shem alag bein yochel l'spal b'loshen ivri karoi, hu chaviv l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'harbe l'spal b'loshen rechava safa beruv v'ni'ima v'tzacha. Better in English. Hashem speaks English, He speaks all languages. Better, you can move your lips in your mind. In Shema Koleinu, before Kiyata Shomeh, at the end of Shema Koleinu, writes Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz, talk to Him about your day. What's coming up in your day? Thank Him for yesterday, and ask Him for help what's coming up today. And that's the best way you're demonstrating we really believe Hashem is in our life. Rabbi Yonasan has a lot more to say. We'll continue to read his passage in Yaros Dvash as an introduction to Shema Koleinu next time.